Hello and welcome to this week's beginner's guide. This week we'll be looking at the 4 Xenoplague Hero Skills, which can be found here in the hero screen. If I click skill points, you'll see all of the upgrades that I have available to me and the ones that I have locked and the ones that I have learned. We have one Xenoplague 1 here under locked, we have the regenerative spore clouds, and then we have 3 up here which I haven't bought yet. We have parasitic spray, rapid movements, and spore feeding. After we're done talking about those in detail, I want to talk about some of the stronger synergies that exist between the Xenoplague secret tech and the races that are currently in the game. I expect that the 2 expansions planned in 2020 will introduce new combinations with the Xenoplague class, but I do feel like there's enough here for people to start putting together guides and covering the synergies, because that's something that people I think find pretty important on the forums. There's definitely a lot of threads on Reddit and on the Age of Wonders Planetfall forums on this subject, so yeah, definitely feels like something people are interested in. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about rapid movements. Rapid movements only cost 2 skill points and makes your unit a lot harder to hit. By getting Skitter, every tile that they move will give them, I think, 5% harder to hit. Which, if you move your entire range of movement, if you have fast moving, that's a lot of tiles. That will make you really hard to hit. It's the equivalent of being in cover. So if you run in behind cover, maybe give yourself some obscurity from another unit, then yeah, you got a pretty hard to hit target, which means you can run them forward, do lots of damage, and the enemy will have to deal with them or else take a lot more damage, allowing your other units to kind of stay back and be relatively safe. The fact that this doesn't have a level requirement is a bit surprising to me, to be honest. It's quite powerful, and I would recommend getting it in pretty much any game where you're playing Xenoplague as early as possible, just because it makes your units harder to deal with. Now we're ready to move on to parasitic spray, which is decent. It's not the worst. I only noticed recently that hyperinfection can stun a biological or cyborg unit for 1 turn. The cooldown is only 2 turns, so you could go around stunning a lot of units, but the problem is not everybody is biological or cyborg. What if you're dealing with a Psyfish or a mechanical unit? Then you can't stun them, you can't infect them. This doesn't do any raw damage, so it's not really worth taking, and then you have to take into consideration that you have to be level 4 to get this. It costs 3 skill points. I'd much rather spend the skill points on something that makes my unit more defensive, like rapid movements or shield battery. Yeah, I like shield battery a lot. So yeah, I would pass on this one. And the next one that these guys have access to, the Xenoplague have access to, is spore feeding. This requires that you be level 6 and requires 4 skill points. Now, even though it costs more and it has higher requirements than parasitic spray, I would say this is worth taking because of the bonus that you get. The bonus is very nice. When a biological unit in this guy's army, that's one of these guys, one of these 6 units, including himself, when one of them kill a enemy unit that's pretty close to them, has to be within 3 hexes, they get 15 HP. So if you've got a melee heavy army that clusters together, that could be very nice. Imagine a bunch of Kir'ko using swarm shielding and healing themselves with these types of skills. It gets to be pretty annoying to deal with, but at the same time, if you're using it, it's quite helpful. It's quite nice. And the last skill we're going to talk about is the regenerative spore cloud. It's pretty similar to spore feeding in that it heals you and just makes your unit a lot harder to deal with. But this doesn't require killing anybody. This is just a passive heal. It heals this unit and all adjacent units 8 points at the end of each turn in tactical combat. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty valuable. You can only get, what, 6 units around it on the ground and 6 units around it in the sky. Or yeah, I don't think if you're immediately on top that counts as adjacent. I actually haven't tested that, but imagine putting this on a flying unit. If you put a hero in a vehicle and then you've got this, you can use that to regenerate health on your other units. So I don't know, seems pretty powerful, seems pretty nice. Haven't played around with it too much myself, but I would recommend it. That seems like a good use of points. Now, before we jump into all the synergies between the different races and the Xenoplague secret tech, I did want to talk about the backgrounds that I like using with this secret tech, as well as go over the Xenoplague units very briefly. I really like using Decadent plus Xeno Close Quarters equipment, because that gives you a very nice tanky melee hero who can spread infection relatively early on in the game. I think Decadent will come up if I just do this. Yeah, it gives you plus 10 HP on your main hero. The Xenoplague take advantage of HP quite a bit and healing, so just having a little bit more HP is a pretty nice combination with that secret class. Now, let's see if I can get the close quarters stuff to pop up. Here we go, I found it. So this gives you Pestilence, which is a pretty nice little weapon, a melee weapon, as well as some stats. Pretty generic stats, but this weapon here I like a lot because it allows you to get that parasitic infection going, and it's something that usually takes a bit of time to get to. If you try to go through the tech tree, you need to use this. If you're just using tier 1 tech, like, that's not enough to get you an infection going. These units can infect people, but you need an infection to spawn them. And yeah, this is one way to get Pestilence. You can go through the research tree to do that, but you know, if you take the melee equipment, you get some perks as well. So I think it's well worth it taking that if you're going to be playing Xenoplague. Even if you're playing a class that generally doesn't have a lot of melee, you should consider it. I mean, for this guy, I went the route of range because Syndicate are really good at range, and I think when I started this one, I wasn't very familiar with the Xenoplague and how good they are at melee damage. Now, there is one more background I like to combine with Decadent and Xeno Close Quarters equipment thingy. I like using the Star Union Scholar because so much is locked between behind your tech tree, your secret tech tree. I think getting that reduction of 15% on all of the research skills in that one path is super good for the Xenoplague. I mean, it's good for all of the classes, but it's uniquely special for the Xenoplague. The Xenoplague doesn't really want to go down the other trees as quickly as some of the other classes because, well, if you want your tier 4 unit, you're going to have to evolve some of these lower tier units. Which brings me to the units. We have a Pustule here, a Destroyer here, and a Plague Lord. Excuse me, he's not tier 4, he's only tier 3. I thought he was tier 4. I guess if he is tier 4, he'd have to be better. And this unit's pretty good as is. There is one more that you can get, but you need to use an operation. Oh, does this have the operational scanner? I think it does. Yeah, we can't use the operation on this battle to show off what I want to. Give me just 2 seconds to load this up. And we'll go to a different battle where I can actually use my Bloated Pustule. The Bloated Pustule is pretty nice. I think I just need combat, so you can be my enemy for a minute. I don't use the Bloated Pustule too much myself because, as you're about to see, it only has one attack. It can only do stagger here. And drop him into stagger, and then he can blow himself up. He's got a self-destruct. It's pretty terrible. Only has 25 HP, no armor, no shields. It says in here that if he gets experience, he gets evasive, but from what I can tell, you can't get the Bloated Pustule from anything other than as reinforcements. There may be a mod that lets you bring back a dead unit as a Xenoplague unit, and I guess I could give you a Bloated Pustule, but that wouldn't be very good. It'd be kind of bad. I would much rather get a normal Pustule because they don't have to die when they attack. They can run forward, take advantage of their skitter, which I think, even though this guy's big and bloated, yeah, he still has skitter, which I love. I love that skill so much. But yeah, this guy, he can level up and actually get to his evasive prime rank, so I think maybe a little bit better. I like Ambush Leap a little bit. It staggers, but you can use mods to put some more stagger on here. Oh, and also it looks like it's just as good at staggering as its normal attack, so yeah, keep that in mind. I guess the main advantages here is it knocks a unit out of its place. That's what the Ambush Leap does. It's going to knock people out of cover, so if I wanted to, I could knock him back out of his cover right here. I could knock him back out of his cover with this. Well, it'd take a couple turns to run forward, but the idea is that's what that guy's good at. He's good at running forward, disrupting the enemy's lines, and yeah, being hard to hit. So this guy is a little bit more of a tank. He doesn't have skitter. He's not a small target, I believe. Yeah, you're a small target, making you harder to hit, 20% harder to hit. He might not be. No, he's a small target. This guy definitely is not a small target. And he has very, very nice attacks. This has a healing ability. When he kills a unit, he can heal a little bit. And this one melts armor, so yeah, I like that a lot. That seems very useful. It's a shame he doesn't have skitter, but you know, he can't be everything you want. You gotta use other units. Gets evasive at prime rank, 2 armor, 1 shield, starts at 45 HP, has fast movement. Yeah, we're ready to move on to our Plague Lords, who start off with a little bit less HP than this. He's leveled up, so he's got +8. He starts off with 65. Wait, did I get this one right? Yeah, you don't have XP. Start off with 45. These guys start off with 40. This guy starts off with 65 HP. When he gets to his prime rank, he gets a little bit of extra range, which makes sense because he has 2 ranged attacks and a melee. All are very, very nice. This has a pretty high chance of causing parasitic infection. I prefer using ranged attacks with my higher tier units. It keeps them safe. And he's got some decent range on him. If you get the prime rank, even better range. I really like reanimation spores. It's nice to be able to bring back a destroyer once rattle. Don't use this on a pustule. That's a waste. And let's see. He comes with regenerative spore class, which is that thing that you can put on your hero, but you really don't need to if you've got a Plague Lord or something else that can heal your guys passively. Alright, now is a good time to start talking about the Assembly Xenoplague combination. It's one of the stronger ones out there. Unlike some of the secret takes, Xenoplague pairs a little bit better with some of the races than others. It looks like people in the forums really like Kir'ko Xenoplague and Amazon Xenoplague and Assembly Xenoplague. The Assembly works really, really well with the Xenoplague because they don't have any animal units or mechanical units, which means You can apply things like this plague pods to all of the units. When you have the limitation of not being able to do this, then you can't heal your units using a grenade that also damages people, and that's, I think, incredibly powerful. This is one of the things that you kind of have to go for, and it's really nice that the assembly can put them on just about anybody. When you run your melee units forward, they may take a lot of damage, so just helping them out with a little bit of heal that also staggers an enemy, it's very, very powerful. There are a lot of things here which can go on biological and cyborgs, so yeah, even though some of the units work a lot like the mechanical units, they're cyborgs, so they can get these little mods here to basically play up the Xenoplague aspect of the assembly, and that's not worth overlooking. I think there was more in my notes about these guys before we jump down to their hero skills. Oh yeah, these guys are both this tech, the secret tech, is a bit of a snowball tech, and the assembly also snowball really well. So if you take like the doctrine for the assembly, which gives them more research per kill, you can take on a lot of cool fights and get a lot out of that pretty early on. So yeah, just pairing those two things together for the snowballing seems really, really nice. And now we can talk about the hero skills. That's all I have in my notes for them. I'm sure there's more that you could say about the assembly Xenoplague. All I can say at this point is it's a pretty strong combination that I've enjoyed playing around with. These skills don't really pair very well with the Xenoplague because, well, assimilate's nice. If your hero's a melee unit, but if not, you pass it. Nanite boosters can be okay, but I tend to pass on it. Stabilizers, I don't know. You can get stagger resistance a lot of different ways. Now, cybernetic overdrive usually is one of my favorite skills to take on an assembly, but because the Xenoplague does not use cyborg units, it uses biological animals. Yeah, you might want to actually pass on this. It's still worth considering if you have a cyborg army that your commander can use that skill on, but if you're going Xenoplague focus, skip this. Battlefield repairs, similar to cybernetic overdrive, probably less useful with the Xenoplague secret tech, but even without it, I generally pass up these kind of skills that just heal you up a little bit quicker. Stunning discharge is yeah, maybe you could consider it, but not really. Reassemble, it's probably worth taking still. It's not amazing, but you know, you can still heal your cyborg units. Maybe bring back a commander or something like that. Oh wait, no, it doesn't work on commanders. It works on light cyborgs. So yeah, it's still worth taking, I think. The Xenoplague Kir'ko combination is arguably the best combination for the Xenoplague secret tech because you have access to this biological channel over here, like or biochemical damage channel research like the Amazon do, but unlike the Amazon, you don't have animal units. Everybody is a biological, and everybody can apply these plague pods. So you can heal up, you can group your guys a lot and heal up without any unit who can't contribute. So if you put all of your units in with this, you're going to be able to get a lot of units swarm shielding, protecting each other, and then healing each other, as well as if you combine the swarm shielding with the regeneration ability that the Plague Lords get, as well as your heroes. If you put that on your heroes, you've got a lot of really nice synergies going there, a lot of strong combinations. The Plague Lords, yeah, you can, once you research this stuff, you can apply some nice benefits to them that if you didn't have this channel, the biological one from being a Kir'ko or Amazon, you definitely don't get as much out of the Plague Lords as you possibly can. If you just scroll down here and you look at like specialized strains, that's really good. Putting that on a Plague Lord is really good. And then yeah, I mean, if you can just put these like higher tier things on your guys, you might as well. That seems really strong. The Kir'ko have a lot of melee units like the assembly, so they have that advantage as well on top of the Amazon. If you just compare the Amazon to these it's not even a close competition, because there's just a million different things that make the Kir'ko Xenoplague awesome, and a couple of little things that make the Amazon less good, but still better than all the other options available to them. Yeah, that's all the notes I had for just their general synergies. Let's jump into the skills themselves. We got Frenzy, which is good if you got a melee hero, which if your Xenoplague is actually more worthwhile than if you're playing any other secret tech. So while I usually pass on this, I would consider it for the Xenoplague. Fury of the Swarm, I would take that. I pretty much always do. It doesn't matter if you're close to the enemy or far away. If you're doing extra damage, you're in a better spot than if you weren't. Selfless Sacrifice is kind of nice. It can allow you to keep a unit that is low on HP alive a little bit longer, so that maybe you can regenerate or heal another way. So I do like that quite a bit on the Xenoplague. The Xenoplague usually have a lot of HP and can get drained of that relatively quickly. So getting Selfless Sacrifice is nice for that. So we got a couple other things in here. Echo of a Hive Mind, yes, get that. It's great for Xenoplague. Shrouded Step, yeah, makes units harder to hit. Similar to Selfless Sacrifice, can just keep people around a little bit longer. Can help you keep your leader around a little bit longer, so I would take it, definitely. Invigorating Pheromones, yes please. Biological unit, Xenoplague, that's what we're dealing with, so that's what we want. And that's a Kir'ko skill. Well then, yes, you want that. If you can get to level 12, being able to increase your accuracy by 25% is massive, and in your optimal range, yes please, I want that. The Xenoplague Amazon combination is a very strong combination. While not quite as good as Kir'ko Xenoplague or Assembly Xenoplague, it is better than the other options, Vanguard, Syndicate, and Dvar, because of its biological focus. The fact that you can research all these nice little mods for the biochemical damage channel is really great for the Xenoplague, because then you can go over and apply those to your Plague Lords. But this class focuses a lot on animal units, which this guy is. So is the Destroyer, and so is the Pustule. And while it is unfortunate you can't use Plague Pods, it's not the end of the world. There's a lot of nice little mods that can go on animals that only the Amazon have access to. So, you know, you might want to put this, say, on your guys. You get it relatively early, so why not? I would take advantage of the animal mods if you're playing Amazon as much as possible, because there aren't that many animal units, and I think these are some of the stronger animal units that are in the game. Because the Amazon themselves have like no melee units. They have a couple, I guess, here and there. The fact that you get these other units to kind of balance out your army is super strong, super nice, and definitely something that I would recommend you do, balancing out your forces so that you're capable of tackling, you know, melee stacks as well as range stacks if you have to. Trying to think if there's anything else. That looks like everything in my notes. So yeah, basically I like these guys a lot, but not quite as good as some of the other techs. The combinations with the Xenoplague secret tech. Now let's jump into the hero skills. The Amazon have this biology expert, which is okay, gives you more resistance to biochemical damage. I don't know, kind of never really take that. I think that's a pass. And we have renewal, heals biological or cyborg units. I take that. Xenoplague are biological, so you can heal your units, all of your units with this skill. You know, the Amazon ones and the Xenoplague. That's what I mean. You can't heal all of your units in one battle. It only heals one target once per battle. And then we have visual acuity. Take that. Like, you might as well. Unless you got a melee hero, take that. I mean, I guess I have this person on melee right now, but yeah, I wouldn't do that if I was you. We have animal discipline, which I like a lot because animal units get +5 HP and a lot more morale. I like that HP on my Xenoplague, but I'm not sure if they get morale. I'm trying to remember right now if these guys even get morale. They're not mindless, so I think they do get morale, which is good. If they can get more crits, you might as well get more crits. We were just in here underneath. Yes, animal discipline. It's good. I'd probably consider taking that more with the Xenoplague Amazon commander than I would another commander. The Warcry is kind of a pass. I don't like using full action on something like that, although it's nice. It does its job. Ranger training, no, pass. Call the Wild, hello, yes please. I love animals. I will take more. And yeah, that's that. The next Xenoplague commander we're going to take a look at is a Syndicate Xenoplague, and I'm a pretty big fan of this combination. While it's not what people seem to be posting about in the forums, I think that I really like the idea of coming in here and putting cerebral control colors on my pustules and my destroyers to make it so that they are an indentured unit. But I think what I really like about this combination is the fact that the Syndicate typically are a ranged focus class, and having some melee units that are pretty tanky and capable of resurrecting other ones it's quite a nice combination. You'll be able to get a lot of money if you use noble doctrines, which I love doing, which can support larger armies, and you can send them all across the map, pulling more stacks out of armies. I mean, eventually if you're using this pustule thing, you're gonna run into issues on upkeep, so being able to make them indentured it's a really nice option to be able to consider. And yeah, that's actually all I had on my notes for just their general synergies with that class. Let's talk a little bit about your skills that you can choose. Backstab, pretty nice if you're going to be using a melee hero. You could get behind the enemy, do a lot of damage. I don't usually use it. I'd probably pass. Escape module, pretty useful on a lot of different heroes, so unless there's another way that you are going to try and resurrect this hero, I take the escape module. Keen Eye, worth passing on, especially if you're going with a melee hero. You don't need Farsight and Agile Overwatch. Subterfuge is another pass. I don't use that. Cerebral control collars, mind controlling is pretty nice. I do like taking an enemy unit that I was fighting and making them one of my units. Shield battery, yes please, definitely want to take that. And yeah, every once in a while you may want to take strategic operational support, but I would pass on it. Oh, I did want to mention that because they do have a lot of mechanical things like the Mirage. I think I can build a Mirage back here. And the Wraith tank. You won't be able to get as much out of these units as possible, but you still can get a lot. I think this guy can take some Xenoplague mods, just not all of them. Yeah, see, that can be applied to mechanical units. Same with the Plague Bots. Just can't go on animals, but there are definitely things that can't go on machines that are just designed for biological and cyborgs. Like this, for example. That's a nice one. And I'm sure there's some others out there. I just don't see them right this second. There, this can only go on biological and cyborg units. I can't go on our mechanical stuff. Vanguard Xenoplague, while not the best combination, is actually probably a little bit better than you expect. They do have a lot of mechanical units. This guy, he's biological, but I think everything else is mechanical, 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 mechanical. And while a lot of these mods can go on mechanical units don't benefit from a lot of these a lot of the things the Xenoplague does. Like the regeneration here only applies to I believe biological units, so yeah, you want to keep that in mind when you're picking your class and building your units. Maybe the Vanguard here can make a lot of tier 1 units and hire some biologicals from an NPC faction. The Vanguard isn't the worst at making friends with NPCs, but yeah, there just isn't too much synergy right off of the bat. So I would understand why you might pass on this combination, why you may not have thought to try it out. But I could see it working out okay for the same reasons, or for a lot of the reasons I feel like Syndicate and Xenoplague work nicely. The Vanguard have a lot of ranged units, and having some melee to kind of balance out the army seems like a pretty good idea, at least speaking generally. It depends a little bit on who you're facing off against. But yeah, that's all I had for that. Let's jump into the actual hero skills for the Vanguard. They have quite a few little neat ones, but for the most part I like passing on a lot of them. Having a little bit of extra resistance from all damage types is really good. Dig in is definitely worth taking. Field medicine is a pass for me. Healing a little bit outside of when you're out of combat is just, I don't know. Yeah, it just doesn't seem that great. Rallying Cry is another one I'd pass on. It just makes it so that, you know, they don't have morale penalties. Ugh, not that good. And now we can move on to Lot. Coordinated Strike, maybe if you're keeping this guy back and using him as a sniper or something, you should use that to make your units, to make your enemies easier to hit. But if you have a lot of Xenoplague units, you're not going to need this. That seems like a little bit worse for the Xenoplague Vanguard. Undiscipline, I don't know, maybe. I'd probably pass on unless I was fighting somebody who has a lot of psychic damage, like Syndicate or the Kir'ko, or somebody with an NPC faction that does psychic damage, like the Cyfish. Battle plan is okay. Kind of want to pass on that if you can get other things. And then having extra morale does serve a purpose with Xenoplague. Xenoplague Dvar is a pretty unconventional combination, which I think is a little bit better than the Vanguard Xenoplague combination because of how tanky the Dvar are. By being tanky, it's easier to apply things that will make the pustules. It's easier to apply this infection if you are, if you have more units on the map, and by being tankier just makes it so that the battles will be drawn out and you'll have more opportunities to use things like this strike, or to get your pustule to use its parasitic infection. So for that reason alone, I like it a little bit more than the Vanguard. If we look at the units, this is a mechanical, 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 as you probably could have guessed. It's, yeah, just slightly more mechanical focused than the Vanguard, so I could see why you would say that makes it a like worse combination for the Xenoplague. But you know, you still have access to your trenchers and your heroes for biological units if you want to take advantage of that synergy. And like I said with the Vanguard, you can still apply a lot of these mods to mechanicals. They just don't get all the benefits like the regenerating. And I think morale, maybe, yeah, some of them are mindless, so they don't get the morale bonuses that you can get from, yeah, using a lot of biologicals together. That's really it. That's all I have in my notes. Not a lot. I think we're ready to talk about the hero skills. Incentivize. It's okay. Having extra morale. Pretty good. If, yeah, you got some strong Dvar units, you want to make it so that they do lots of damage, maybe motivate them. It's nice on the walking ones, but I don't know. With the Xenoplague, it's nice to focus on just the Xenoplague units. Not the best for this. Juggernaut, probably would pass. Usually don't like that one. Siege Master. You know what? Yes, I like that quite a bit. Having +2 damage resistance while in cover. Pretty good. And it applies to all units in the army. It's kind of like the dig in, but for all units instead of one unit. Hardness training is okay. Stats effects can be bad if you're facing against people who like do entropy damage. You may want that. Stubborn. There's other ways to get stagger resistance or stagger immunity. Armor is pretty awesome. I like armor a lot. And nitro battery, not so good with the Xenoplague units themselves, but if you want to charge up a mechanical unit, you've got a lot of mechanical units you can apply that to. I might pass on this one with the Xenoplague, to be completely honest. It might be better to get this. And that's the last combination that I wanted to talk about here. So far on the channel, I've covered the Heriter secret tech and some synergies, as well as like the hero skills that you have available to you in the current version of the game. And last week I did a video on the Celestian. I'm planning to do one a week over the next few weeks, and if you have any ideas for videos that I could do in the near future, please let me know on my channel. You can comment, you can go on Reddit and let me know on Reddit. You can let me know on the Age of Wonders Planetfall forums. And yeah, big thanks to those people who are active on the forums and in my comments section. You've been helping me find out a lot of cool stuff about the different factions, not just the base ones like Vanguard and Kir'ko, but you've been helping me really wrap my head around the secret techs and the NPC factions. So big thanks. I think that's all I had to say for this one. See you around. Have a good one.